El Toro is the legendary Intamin prefabricated wooden roller coaster at Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson, New Jersey. Many people consider it to be their number one coaster, and I'm sure that pretty much every coaster enthusiast that has rode it has it ranked somewhere in their top 5. Well, the same applies to me. This is no question a top 5 roller coaster, and there's really so much to talk about with El Toro, so let's just get right into the review. Standing at a very impressive height of 181 feet, El Toro is the second tallest wooden roller coaster on the planet, only behind T-Express at Everland in Korea and Wildfire at Kolmarden in Sweden, which both stand only 2 feet taller. El Toro's massive structure is menacing, intimidating, and almost scary. You don't believe how impressive a 180-foot wooden structure is until you see one in real life. The view from the top of El Toro is nothing short of amazing, though it's not quite as stunning as the view from the top of the coaster that's only 500 feet away. Being nearly 200 feet off the ground is always going to be amazing, no matter what coaster you're on. I give El Toro a 10 out of 10 for height. Though it may not be close to the tallest coaster in the park, El Toro manages to take you up way higher than almost any other wooden roller coaster in the world. El Toro is an absolute speed machine of a coaster. One of my favorite things about El Toro isn't even the ride. It's the fact that the queue goes directly next to El Toro's 2 massive ejector camelbacks. It's an amazing feeling watching the train fly past you at almost 70 miles per hour. El Toro is one of the fastest wooden roller coasters in the world, and you feel it. The ride reaches a speed of 70 miles per hour. Very impressive for a wooden roller coaster. And when the ride is running well, it keeps a lot of the speed through the whole layout, allowing you to fly over the rolling Thunderhill and navigate through the quick low-to-the-ground tight turns. In my opinion, El Toro deserves a 10 out of 10 for speed. There's only a couple coasters like it that travel at faster speeds, and if you get a good ride on it, the speed really does not let up. The main reason that El Toro is ranked so high by so many people is for its airtime. Besides Steel Vengeance, I don't think that I've ridden a more airtime-packed roller coaster than El Toro. Every hill sends you flying out of your seat with a sharp pop of ejector. The drop whips you over faster than you can even imagine. You get pulled over each ejector hill and get an amazing dose of laterals as you enter the turnaround. What's next? The rolling Thunderhill. The Thunderhill is one of the best airtime moments I've ever experienced. It's just incredible sustained ejector until you bottom out. Another thing that El Toro has that most other wooden roller coasters don't is positives. El Toro has a lot of very tight turns that will have you pinned to the back of your seat as you go through them. The turnaround is a very intense moment, and the switchback turns toward the end of the ride are very intense, and it almost makes you feel like you're on a steel coaster. El Toro gets a 10 out of 10 for forces. It has not only unforgettable airtime, but also insane positive Gs that might even have you grayed out. Now, we've already established that El Toro's ride experience is amazing. Its theming, on the other hand, is not. While it's still one of the best themed coasters in my opinion, only behind King Ka, Superman at Ultimo Escape, and maybe Wicked Cyclone, the theming still does not impress me that much. I appreciate the props against the queue, and Plaza del Carnaval looks really good. Of course, I can't forget about El Toro's best piece of theming, the very masculine bull statue outside of the entrance. Also, side note, the theming at Great Adventure often flies under the radar. You have the 2 main coasters, El Toro and King Ka, which both have very good theming, and whole sections of the park dedicated to them. You also have Dark Knight with its whole pre-show, and you have Justice League Dark Ride, which makes for a great collection of themed rides. Back to El Toro, though, I think the coaster deserves an 8 out of 10 for theming. The ride has a pretty cool theme, and the park does a good job at presenting it. Comparing it to a coaster at a Cedar Fair park, though, it's really not anything too special. Then again, theming is not what makes this ride at all, though. Our last category is the trains and restraints. El Toro has very unrestricting restraints that allow for lots of airtime. If you don't get stapled, you're in for one hell of a ride. These restraints are pretty comfortable. The only thing that isn't comfortable is that there's no padding on the seats. My only problem with El Toro is its vibration. El Toro is not a smooth ride by any means, and on my most recent trip to Great Adventure, I found myself with a headache each time I got off of the coaster. Don't get me wrong, the airtime and intensity more than make up for the roughness in my opinion. I just feel like it would be more comfortable if there was padding on the seats instead of the hard plastic that they have currently. El Toro runs two massive 36-passenger trains, so you'd think that lines would move pretty quickly with such a good capacity, right? Well, no, they don't. El Toro's two trains are very different. One of them has a really cool design that looks like it's made of wood with steel on all around the edges, and the two awesome bull horns on the front. The other train looks like a Kia minivan, so I think it's obvious which train I like better. The Kia one, obviously. Nah, but the red looks pretty good on the wooden track. Anyways, I'll give El Toro an 8.5 out of 10 for its trains and restraints. The trains look good, they run at a very good capacity, and the restraints are pretty comfortable. Like I said though, padding on the seats would make the ride so much more enjoyable in my opinion. El Toro comes in with a final score of 9.3 out of 10. This is truly one of the best roller coasters that I've ever ridden in my entire life, and my personal score is a 10 out of 10. This ride is relentless, and it's a coaster that everybody should get on at some point in their life. So what do you think of El Toro? Have you ridden it? Tell me in the comments if you've ridden it, and if you haven't, where does it rank in your bucket list? Anyways, this is CT Coasters, signing off.